Poster's note. Warning. Chapters 169, 170 and 171 have a lot of sex stuff in it. I think most of this chapter is on the safe side. As far as I can remember, nothing important seems to happen after it starts getting into the sex stuff in this chapter. I will be putting a recap in the following chapters of things I think may be important in case you wish to skip the chapter. But I may be wrong on what's important. End Poster's note. Diaries of a Madman. By What Must I Do? Chapter 169. The Gryphoning. I hate you. For now, Aqua said, simulating patting me on the head. I was currently mostly alone in my room. As soon as I got back, I locked myself away so I could brood to myself. This isn't going to work, Aqua. You say that, but it seems to be working fairly well. No one has really noticed that I've had my tendrils in or around Celestia. Which I'm still curious about. How exactly did you take her over? She actually giggled. It was surprisingly difficult. Once I was in, it was easy. But getting there. Thanks to you and Flo, she knew some of what I could bring to the table. Our cooperation started weeks ago, but it wasn't until just recently that I decided Equestria needed a true change in management. I know you agree, Nav. Your thoughts betray you. I'm not gonna deny that Equestria needs a better, less evil ruler. Of course, the keywords there are less evil. Slavers are pretty fucking evil. Humph. Well, after getting information about Celestia from Twilight, I decided to approach her privately and offer her my assistance with handling a few matters. She was reluctant at first, but as you began working against her more and growing closer to several powerful figures in Canterlot, she decided I might make a valuable ally. I started by taking over the minds of guards she cloned from what's called the mirror pool. They were blank slates, simple to control. That explains a few things. My head started feeling slightly warm. You saw a few of the pieces, but you didn't complete the puzzle until it was too late. I truly am sorry that it came to this, Nav, but I'm happy you didn't try to fight it. Don't think this is over, Aqua. You may own me and Celestia now, but you're gonna slip one day and we'll be ready. Perhaps. One thing you should consider is that, with me out of the way, you and Celestia will be right back at each other's throats. And now she knows you were planning to kill her. Only in self-defense. I knew she was planning the same. And if it weren't for me, you might have destroyed each other trying to save your own skins. I snorted. Don't break an arm jerking yourself off, bitch. An icy spike shot into my brain, making me gasp. You will keep a civil tongue with me, Navarone. I am not a weak-willed, forgotten and lost elemental. You will respect me. Will you respect me? When I believe it is merited, yes. Then go foo-ah. She shot another few spikes into my mind. I am not going to kill you, Nav. Even if I did, and even if that seed of yours did work, you would have no memory that I did this to you, so you would never see it coming again. The pain finally eased down, though I was doing quite a lot to disrespect her in my mind. I understand that this will require some adjustments, but in the long run, I'm sure you'll see that this is for the best. And what do you think Discord is gonna do when he finds out that you stole his favorite toy? Favorite? An unfortunately familiar male voice asked. All my energy left me as Discord stepped up from the other side of my desk, as if he had been hiding there. For some reason, he was now sporting a curly mustache. Why, whatever makes you think you're my favorite? I mean, I just kinda figured. It's kinda sad, but I actually felt relieved to see him. He was an asshole, but I was really hoping he would deal with this for me. Well, you figured correctly, he said, patting me on my cheek. I like the stash, man. You do in a new look. Cartoonishly evil as in these days, you know, he replied, stroking it menacingly. Anywho, I just came here to tell you not to worry. Aqua hasn't really stolen you. You sure? I asked. Because I mean, she's kinda in my head right now. Oh, of course. She may think she owns you, but I think we all know who really holds your strings. She may force you to make one choice or another, but the fact that you are making choices at all means you are still following the path I put you on. As long as you are playing my game, you are still very much my toy. Aqua took over my mouth and said, your reverse psychology will not work on me, Chaos. Navarone is mine now. We will destroy you. Discord snapped. Water began flowing from my body. Not just Aqua, but all the water. Before my body completely dried up, the flow stopped and Discord held out his talon. The water slowly flew over to it and he gently poked it. This is how tenuous your hold is on my toy, Aqua. You are a machine made by man without magic to simulate a water goddess. I, on the other hand, am a true god, a spirit of chaos incarnate. Do you truly think your power or abilities mean anything to me? I eradicated most of your ilk ages ago. It was no mistake that allowed the rest of you to live. I just simply didn't think you were worth my time. And as a matter of fact, he threw the ball of water at me, letting it all absorb back in. I still don't. Guide my pawn however you choose, Aqua. But don't think you can lead her away from her destiny. It'll find her, one way or another. You're not gonna kill her? I asked. What, and stop you from suffering? As if she's your problem. But don't worry, you'll have your chance soon. Can you be more specific? Yes. Farewell for now, Navi. With a stroke of his mustache, he was gone. What an cartoonishly evil asshole, I sighed. Indeed. Aqua said. See there? We're agreeing on things already. Don't worry, though. He's a masterful liar. If he says you'll find a way to escape me, there's definitely no way you'll be escaping my loving grasp anytime soon. You were in a dictator's head once, Aqua. What would Sombra think about what you've done to Celestia and I? I am in Celestia's head right now, Nav. Do you know what darkness, what evils lie in her head? You may think I am evil, but I am nothing compared to her. You may not like what I have done, and I do understand that. This is unethical and if there were any other way, I would take it. Unfortunately, we live in very desperate times. Celestia absolutely had to be reined in or she would have caused chaos in her paranoia. Iceland should have been your wake-up call, Nav. After everything you've seen, after all that you know, do you really think you're better off with Celestia left to her own devices? I think I'd be better off without you in my head, that's for damn sure. You and Celestia were going to tear the world apart, Nav. That party of yours was the opening move. I know you're intelligent. I know you're capable of seeing the truth. I can see that you're hiding from your sisters. I can see that you're afraid of them. I will make them understand in time. I don't want to have to hurt anyone. You just didn't leave me any other options. I know you didn't want to hurt Celestia, and now you don't have to. You also don't have to fear her anymore. If you really want to think about it, I did you a favor. That's evil guy logic 101, Aqua. Come on. She sighed. I'm being serious, Nav. Celestia was a great threat. She was having you watched at all times. She was a hair's breadth from making you disappear. You would just be another bloodstain for her to step over. Now, she is on our side. You say our. Oh, that's right, you aren't human anymore. Let me rephrase that. She is now on humanity's side. Oh yeah, because we're really the ones who had everything figured out. You know, you're really insufferable sometimes. I just sat there in stunned silence for a few seconds. You're right, I'm sorry. That was inconsiderate of me. But you were being kind of a bitch. I've had you in my head for not even an hour and I already want to kill myself even more than usual. Why do you think this is for the best, again? You realize I could completely rewire you with a twitch in your brain, right? I could turn you into a psychopath, a wild animal. I sat there in silence for a few long seconds before sighing. Are you really sure you're the good guy here? Or I could turn you into a vegetable. And now we're going with the threats. Please, continue telling me about how I should be grateful you haven't already killed me, turned me into a vegetable, or made me eat my own daughter. We sat there in silence for about half a minute. Nothing. I asked. You sure? She sighed. I'm not asking for much, Nav. Really, I'm not. I realize that this is going to take some getting used to. Your happiness does mean a lot to me. Not enough, apparently. Not enough to risk everything on, no, she sighed. I generally will be as hands-on or hands-off as you wish. I will not stand in the way of any of your numerous disgusting affairs, though I will absolutely complain about them. I will not get in the way of any of your operations. I'll let you run your household however you please. Really, if you want, you can generally just pretend I'm not even here. Minus the part where you can shut my brain off without even thinking about it. And minus the parts where you throw people into volcanoes. God, again with this. I'm understanding now why Flo started hurting you. My head went a few degrees warmer. You really are like a child, Nav. I know you don't like hearing it and I know you don't like it when I say that, but it's true. And, like all children, occasionally you need to be guided. Or, turned into a slave. If you put as much thought into your actions as you do your words, that kobold would still be alive. What is being petty worth to you, Nav? An entire species. I dunno, it can be fun sometimes. Flo may have allowed that, but those days are behind you now. This is an opportunity, Nav. Can't you at least give me a chance? If I recall correctly, you said you hated yourself anyway, right? Not that much. Too bad. This is happening, like it or not. Right as she said that, someone knocked on the door. Perfect timing. That would be Twilight. Really, Nav, you won't even notice me. I sighed and stood up to get the door. Oh, before you think about trying to tell her or tip her off in some way, remember that I know her a lot better than you do. Right as I put my hand on the knob, she giggled and added, also, I can shut your brain off whenever I want. Now smile. That absolutely did not make me want to smile. The fluffy purple pony on the other side of the door kinda did, though. Howdy, Twily, I said, doing my best to sound like I wasn't being held captive. I obviously did a pretty good job, because she hopped up to hug me. Good evening, Navi. An armful of warm air did a nice job of making me forget I was now a mind slave, at least. I hope. Wait, she sniffed a few times before backing away. You smell like Celestia. Yeah, we had a talk. A talk. A talk that, kinda evolved into angry hate sex. We're by no means back together, but we're working on mending things. There's too much at stake to be enemies. She sighed in relief. Good. I was honestly worried you two might try killing each other. She brushed past me and continued into the room. Aqua giggled. You're such a good liar, Navi. Good thing you can't lie to me anymore. So much for not even knowing you're here. I shut the door behind Twilight and walked over to the bed. So what's the plan for the trip? I asked when I was seated on the comfy sheets. I am going to change my coat white. My name will be Lady Ivory. I'll be turning you into a pony, then changing your coat color to pink. You will be my maid, named Rose Charm. Do I really have to be pink? Yes. We'll be going by train. All the luggage we require is waiting on us downstairs. I'm gonna need to be human for a little while. I'm still planning on meeting Princess Gilda. Then I'll pick a few outfits for you, she said, walking over to one of my dressers. K. She opened a few drawers and levitated out 2 very short dresses, 2 blouse and short skirt combos, 4 pairs of long stockings, and 2 pairs of heels. Can we maybe discuss the wardrobe? I thought we decided that I was going to be in charge on this trip. With limits, yes. She rolled her eyes and put one of the dresses, one of the skirts, and 1 pair of heels away, then pulled out a pair of pants and a pair of normal shoes. Better. Marginally. Good. She closed the drawers and walked back over, still carrying the clothes. The carriage pullers are charging to wait for me, so we can talk more on the way. We'll leave as soon as you're ready. Should I bring any bits? She shook her head. This is a research opportunity for me, Nav. The money I'm making from our books is going to very amply cover this, and the amount of material we get from this will help me write several more books. When are you going to turn me into a horse? When we get to the train station. Well, as soon as I let some people know I'm leaving, I'll be good to go. Doppel and Cod are downstairs. Baller. Shall we? Her horn lit up and we actually teleport down to the foyer. I guess that also works. I'll be out front, she said, starting to walk that way. I guess she was going to pack those clothes with the rest. Don't keep me waiting too long. I won't, I replied as I walked into the sunroom. Sure enough, Doppel and Cot were sitting at one of the tables with Silver and Smiles. I went over to join them, though I didn't sit. Twilight and I are about to head out. So soon? Cot asked. Apparently. Cot, you're in charge of hugging my daughter for me when she gets back. Are you sure you don't want me to go with you? Yes. She sighed in disappointment and looked away. Doppel, keep looking for employees. Of course, my lady. Would you like me to hug Taya as well? By all means, if you want. Silver, don't forget about your vacation. Oh. I had forgotten about it again. Do I have to take a vacation? I mean, you don't have to, but I'd like you to. You can also hug Taya when she gets back, if you want. Someone let Watcher know I'm gone, as well. What about me? Smiles asked. Look for a boyfriend, I said, tousling his hair. Athena's book is in my room, if Jack wants to head back in. You're not allowed to hug Taya, though. Why not? Because you give shitty hugs. His mouth dropped. Anyway, I'm heading out. I'll see some of you in a week or so. I'll see the rest of you a bit after that. I don't give shitty hugs. Smiles shouted. Compared to Doppel, you do, I said as I turned to go. Have fun, guys. He grumbled as the others said their variations of goodbye. You're so mean to Smiles, Aqua said. It vexes Ice so. It's just, he makes it so easy. I can't stop myself from taking shots. You never even once considered his feelings. He never once considered mine. Dude's been shamelessly flirting on me forever. Well, you sent him a whole lot of mixed signals. Eat a dick. You know I'm right. I know I'm ignoring you now. She continued bitching at me, but I was over it. Twilight was standing next to a fairly simple-looking carriage. My clothes were nowhere to be seen. Ready? She asked as I walked over. Yep. She hopped up into the carriage and I followed. The thing was obviously meant for ponies, but I didn't have to hunch over too much. Once we were both seated and had the door closed, it took off. So I had a few ideas for your personality, Twilight said. I'm thinking demure, shy, and afraid of griffins. Why afraid of griffins? I asked. That seems counterproductive. Not according to my studies. A lot of griffins enjoy nabbing prey animals, especially Pegasi. To them, a shy Pegasus who is afraid of them would be the perfect target. Hey! That sounds kinda rapey, actually. Don't be silly. You'll be consenting, of course. If anyone tries to push their luck after you tell them no, they'll have me to contend with. Whatever, I guess. Anything else? I'm thinking you'll be married, too. Your husband will be a fairly small earth pony with basically no libido. I'm gonna have to ask you why. She smirked. What predator would pass up the opportunity to bag a married prey animal? They'll get to prove that they're a better lay than your prey husband. They'll also get to call you a cheating slut. Wow! You're really going into some fetishes here. That's the plan, she said with a nod. Well, whatever. I guess that's one of the advantages of going in disguise and role-playing. Definitely. Of course, I am going to be a spoiled lady who is also married. I'll advertise the fact that I'm specifically in Griffis to cheat on my husband with as many griffins as I can, which should drive them wild. I'll push you into assisting me. Don't go too overboard. If you push me too hard, the guards might get involved. That shouldn't be an issue. If it is, we can just tell them that we're role-playing. If push comes to shove, I can tell them I'm Shady Grey and you're Snow White. K. Also, it's probably nothing, but my period is going to start really soon. Like, today-ish. It might correspond with my heat cycle as a pony, but I've never been a horse long enough to really test it. She grinned widely. That's very convenient. I was planning on making you a type of tea that simulates heat in mares, but now I might not have to. Hey! That would be a pretty nasty surprise. Is there anything else I need to worry about? Her grin turned sly. Well, I was gonna let it be a surprise, but since you asked, her horn lit up and a small vial appeared. There was a sticker on it shaped like a spider. Cod and Nightshade have been working on something for me. You have such interesting friends, Nav. So is that some kind of poison? Sort of. It's supposed to make the affected spot extremely sensitive to touch. That set off an alarm bell or two in my head. Where did they get the ingredients? Spider was the main donor. I've been bitten by one of those things before. No thanks. She shook her head. Spider was the main donor. Nightshade used some of her knowledge to dilute his poison and get rid of all the negative effects. We're testing it for them. I know exactly how sensitive you are by default, so this will be a good judge of how effective it is. If this works out, they're going to try marketing it to the crop. With a sparkling recommendation from Miss Shady Grey and her lovely assistant, they should have no problem selling it. They're going to use the money to buy Spider anything he might need to help adapt. I'd be happy to pay for anything he needs. She shrugged. They thought it would help him feel more independent, so he wouldn't feel completely indebted to you. And I believe your lady couldn't possibly risk testing such a thing on herself. Such a thing would be much better suited for her lowly servant. Ugh, fine, whatever. She swatted me with magic. That is no way to speak to your lady. You ain't my lady until you turn me into a horse. Fine, be that way. The vial disappeared and the glow around her horn vanished. I'm not gonna be too mean, but I am gonna push you. I'm not quite positive where your limits are, so let me know if I go too far. Give me a safe word for everything. I'm gonna try to be acting, so I might seem reluctant. She nodded. Of course. Would you be interested in splitting up on some days? I'll see how things go, but probably. Especially if you could turn me into a changeling. That would be risky. You know how griffins feel about them. If they find out, you might be in trouble. I'll be fine. I don't have to have sex all the time. I could be a changeling for any events I wanted to go to. That way I could fit in without everyone trying to fuck me all the time. If you say so. Another adventure spell I learned recently is one that allows a caster to enchant another person. If that person says a certain phrase, I'll be alerted immediately. So if you get in trouble, I can teleport you back. That's good to know. If I do end up in heat, do you know any kind of anti-pregnancy spell? I don't want to risk getting knocked up. Yes, of course. You know, it's strange. I went into heat this morning. Our cycles never matched before. Hey. Well, that's something that can happen between human women. When they spend enough time together, their cycles can swap to match over time. Maybe it works between ponies and humans as well. Neat. We'll have to do more experimentation. If that is the case, Taya probably also went into heat this morning. If she did, I didn't notice. I usually don't unless they tell me, though. I wonder if Kot goes into heat cycles. I just shrugged. That might be something we should start keeping track of. If every female on the ship has cycles at the same time, we could have issues. I'll let you be in charge of asking them when they're in heat. She blinked, then thought for a few seconds. Maybe it's not that important after all. I reached over to bop her on the nose. I bet a few of the Griffins would be happy to rub your tummy. I'll be sure to ask. Good. I can enjoy it all I want without feeling shame. Seriously, never let Spike do that again. Agreed. I was not expecting that reaction. Anyway, how would you like your hair done? I've got a few styles in mind. Do whatever you want, I said with a shrug. As long as it doesn't look stupid, I don't really care. Perfect. Sit still. Her horn lit up and she started manipulating my hair. I leaned forward so none of it was stuck behind me and she got to work. It seemed like she needed to concentrate, so I just stayed silent as she worked. You follow her orders so well, Aqua said. Would it really kill you to follow mine, too? Are you going to order me to do sexy things? She actually giggled at me. Is that what it would take, Navi? Do you want me to be your new mistress? I suppose I could control you in ways no one else could. You could, but you won't. That would be unhealthy, wouldn't it? So is turning you into a host against your will. This will be something for me to think about. I imagine you would be more amenable if I started rewarding you. It would certainly be better than forcing you in line with threats, wouldn't it? First you forced yourself into my mind and now you're talking about forcing me into sex slavery? How sure are you that you're doing the right thing, again? That is a fair point. I do imagine you would learn to enjoy it, but that is a path I will not go down. She giggled again. Well, not until you decide you want me to. Your hair is so fun to play with, Nav, Twilight said. There's just so much of it. Yet, Kot and Rarity also seem to enjoy it. I've been considering cutting it just to spite them. And also to help it dry faster. It takes fucking ages. That would be disappointing. It would give me less to pull on while I'm pounding you from behind. I also wouldn't be able to make you look as cute. I'd miss the hair pulling. I definitely wouldn't miss being able to look cute. As cute. You'd still be pretty cute, even with short hair. Just so you know, I'm gonna cuddle the shit out of you every night. Not if I cuddle you first. Or, you know, if any Griffins cuddle us first. She went back to focusing on my hair. I could cuddle you too, you know, Aqua said. You know how good water elementals are at snuggling. I thought you hated me. Why would you want to cuddle? You are my host now, Nav. I want to love you and I want you to love me. Snuggling would be a good step in the right direction. Pass. Her chuckle didn't put me at ease. Consent didn't seem to be something she cared much about, unfortunately. I was really hoping Twilight's friendliness would rub off on you. Friendliness has its place, Nav. Unfortunately, some people call for tough love. Especially those who enjoy tossing people into volcanoes. Not gonna lie, it felt good. I wish I had a camera for the look on his face when I let go. Yes, I think you need extra snuggles. I sighed and placed my head in my hands. What's wrong? Twilight asked. It took me a second to come up with a response that didn't involve Aqua. Thankfully, it wasn't hard. I hate being a woman, Twilight. Why? She actually sounded curious. Unfortunately, I didn't really have anything in mind. Still, it wasn't hard to come up with some reasons. No one cared about how I looked before. Now, everyone's fussing about every little detail, down to the last strand of hair. That's mostly because you're a noble, not because you're a woman. Appearances matter, Nav. You might not care, but those around you do. Besides, Rarity's been dressing you up like a doll since day one. Since we've been on the ship, supplying you with outfits has been one of the few things she can do in her spare time. It's either dresses or suits, at this point. Everyone's been treating me like a porcelain doll lately. They all act like I'm weak now, like I can't take care of myself. You should have seen Kot when I told her she wasn't coming on this trip. She shook her head. You're one of the strongest people I know, Nav, but your friends are worried about you. They want to keep you safe, woman or not. Besides, there have been times when you needed them and they weren't there, even when you were still a man. I'd like to see you defend having a period. Refractory periods? Not that you would have to worry about those anymore. That thing between your legs does have a few upsides, Navi. You know, we could just let the Griffins watch. It's a thought. A mirror appeared with a flash and she finally stopped playing with my hair. What do you think? She had it put up in pigtails, though they hung very low and curled in on themselves. Honestly, it looked really cute. I didn't want to tell her that, though. Instead, I settled for, honestly, it looks really cute. Okay, I didn't want to tell her that. Apparently Aqua didn't get the memo. Twily grinned. Good. We should be arriving shortly, Nav. I'm kinda surprised you even know how to do hair. Yours is always exactly the same. Is that a problem? No, you're adorable. It's just, if you know how to do it, why don't you do yours? You know how to do your own. Why don't you? Because I don't want to and I don't give a single fuck how I look. Oh. Well, I don't do anything with mine because I'm content with being adorable. Why don't you care how you look? Because I didn't ask anyone to look at me. You look at me at your own peril. Things got uncomfortably quiet. For a few long seconds, all I could hear was the sound of the wheels moving and hooves trotting. Finally, Aqua started laughing at me and Twilight just flatly said, "What? Why would I care what someone else sees when they look at me? They can mind their own damn business. And if they still feel the need to pester me, they can look at my hideously deformed, unkempt body. Then they can vomit and move on with their lives." Hey. So I'm just gonna add self-esteem to the list of things we need to work on. God damn it. What else is on that fucking list? Before she could answer, the carriage ground to a halt and something tapped on the door. I do believe we've arrived. She made the mirror disappear and opened the door with magic. After you, Lady Navarone. I flicked her nose before hopping out. She followed right behind me, still rubbing her cute little nose. I'll remember that. Good. We were definitely at the train station. While Twilight was dealing with her carriage pullers, I went over to check out the train schedule. We still had about an hour before the next train heading to Griffis arrived. It would take a few hours to reach Griffis. Apparently this train was much smaller than the average ones. I have no idea why they put that on the schedule. How much time do we have? Twilight asked when she joined me. An hour or so. Good. Her horn lit up and her coat and mane slowly lost their pigments until they became stark white. There we go. How do I look? Very white. Good, it worked. Head inside. I'll catch up once I handle the luggage. K. I walked in while she handled the bags. Some part of me knew she'd already have tickets sorted out, so I didn't even bother heading to the kiosk. I figured she'd want privacy when she turned me into a horse, so I walked over to the bathrooms and sat at one of the benches next to them. I couldn't help but notice that I left a trail of hushed whispers in my wake. For some reason, I felt disgusted in myself. Well, more so than usual. It didn't take Twilight long to join me. She sat at my side and leaned against me. I've been planning this for weeks, Nav. It feels good to have things in motion. Yet. She sighed and asked, what's wrong this time? When I walked over here, ponies stopped talking to each other and just stared. I usually don't notice since I'm with others, but when I'm by myself it's obvious. I'm tired of being a freak. Is that why you think ponies stare at you, Nav? Some of them. Apparently a lot of my guards like staring at my ass. It's not just your guards. I catch myself doing that, too. But most ponies stare at you because you're a hero, Nav. I really wish you could take pride in your accomplishments. Listening to you playing yourself down at times gets tiring. I reached around her and pulled her tightly against me. Don't worry, Twily. One day, you'll learn to hate me just as much as I hate me. Nah. One day, I'll force you to see the UIC. But for now, let's get you in disguise. So what's everyone gonna think when I walk in that bathroom and then never come out? Do you care? Fair enough. I let her go and hopped up. I started walking into the bathroom, but she grabbed me with magic. I believe you're forgetting something. What's? Oh. I realized I was about to walk into the men's room. Come on, Twily. We could start our vacations early. Maybe there's a glory hole. I don't know what that is, but you're going to fill me in later. Now move it, Missy. I sighed and walked over to the mayor's room instead. Just walking inside it gave me chills, for some reason. Unfortunately, I was technically a chick, so it was undeniably the correct one. There were several stalls, most of which were empty. Truth be told, I was kinda surprised there wasn't a line. Twilight bundled me into one of the stalls and quietly stripped me down, then muted the walls and turned me into a horse. It was just as disorienting as always. Before I had time to really get used to it, I saw myself turning pink. There we go, she said. Welcome to a life of slutty servitude, Rose Charm. I'm eager to serve, Lady Ivory, I sweetly said. Good. Stand still. She teleported in a fairly standard maid outfit, then forced it onto me. Once it was in place, she slid long stockings up my back legs, placed something in the top band of one of them, then I felt something slim slip inside of me. I hope you don't mind a little bit of remote fun. I live to serve, my lady. She pulsed the vibe, making me shiver in delight. Yes, you do. As a final step, she slid sandals on all my feet. For now, keep this dress on. I think I found a way to give you a cutie mark that'll last for a while. We'll test it when we get settled. Ah, so we won't have any fun on the train. That's what this is for, Day. She turned the vibe on high for a moment and then leaned in to kiss me again. As soon as she pulled away, she turned the vibe off. I'm going to teleport out. Join me back in the lobby whenever you're ready. As you wish. She leaned in and snuck a smooch on my face before popping off. There was no telling how long it would really take me to be ready to face the coming storm. Since I gave up on really being prepared for anything a long time ago, I nodded once and turned to face the exit. That's when I realized something pretty important. How the fuck am I supposed to open the door? I believe I can assist, Aqua said. Spending enough time in Twilight's head gave me an idea for how the ponies do impossible things with their hooves. Lift a hoof up to the lock. I did so and she somehow turned the lock with it. You're welcome. Gee, thanks. Turning that one lock sure did make up for turning me into a mind slave and threatening to rape me. Good. I was starting to think you'd never get over that. Now shall we move this travesty along? I'm gonna make so many bad decisions just to spite you. You've made plenty of those without my influence. Honestly, you should be above this. You're a world star hero. You shouldn't be debasing yourself like a common harlot. Yep, gonna find a glory hole, alright. I hope Griffin cum tastes good. You're disgusting. That compliment made me feel warm inside, so I finally decided that I was ready and stepped out of the bathroom. As soon as I was in the lobby, I was greeted by nothing. No one looked up, no one noticed, and no one stopped talking. I let out a small breath and looked for Twilight. Finding her wasn't too hard, there weren't too many monochromatic ponies out there. When I got up to her, she scoffed. About time. I was starting to wonder if I should have picked a different one of you useless maids to accompany me. My apologies, my lady, I said. Is there something that you need? I need for this stupid train to hurry up. Ugh. I guess someone's getting into character. Be less boring, Rosie. You can't tell me what to do, you're not my real mom. Would you like to talk about something, my lady? Ugh, with you? No thanks. Just dance or something. Wow, what a complete bitch. She's almost as bad as you are. Except, you know, for her it's only an act. You're not a very nice person, Aqua said. You should really work on that. Are you gonna work on your bitchiness? She didn't reply, so I decided I should finally say something to Twilight. I'm afraid I don't know any dances, my lady. Utterly worthless. That pole over there looks pretty sturdy. Why don't you go practice on it? What, is she serious? My lady, normal, dancing poles spin. I believe trying would get me hurt. I wouldn't know. I've never set hoof in one of those disgusting places, but I'm not surprised you know all about it. I'm sure your husband tells you everything about them. I didn't see any reason to reply to that, so I didn't. Well, I'm sure you'll be happy to know that you can get all the revenge you want while we're on vacation. I certainly expect to have some fun. I am happily married, my lady, I softly replied. Well, you're married, anyway. You can pretend to be happy all you want. We'll see how long that lasts while you're surrounded by griffins. I'm gonna go with not very long at all. I'm sure my lord would be happy to hear about your trip when you return, my lady, I replied. Well, he's not gonna hear a word from either of us, she said. You are to keep quiet about everything you see, or I'll tell your husband how you slept with every griffin you could find. I suppose there's no harm in staying silent. If my lord does ask, I can always stretch the truth a little. I'm sure being lied to often teaches one a thing or two about the subject, she said with a nasty smirk. Congratulations, Aqua. You successfully taught Twilight how to be a mean-ahead. I'm sure everything you're seeing is something she learned from you, Aqua replied. All these behaviors you're calling bitchy is something you would see from yourself, if you could only look in the mirror long enough to spot them. Oh yeah, because I just love forcefully implanting someone with something that can torture or kill them whenever I want. You said you were over that, so I refuse to let you hold it against me. I was lying. She snorted. Now who's the bitch? I'm gonna go with the person who turned me into a host against my will. Liar. Sticks and stones. I was done dealing with her, so I did my best to ignore her bitchy rambling. Twilight really didn't seem interested in talking anymore, so I started pony watching. There are always all kinds of interesting people in places like train stations, so it wasn't hard to find some to watch and eavesdrop on. About 15 or so minutes before the train was scheduled to arrive, I felt something stroking my inner thigh. I jumped in surprise, which made Twilight glare at me. What is it, Rosie? I swear to Celestia, if you just realized you forgot something of mine. Something touched me, my lady. There wasn't anything around me, so I assume it was her just fucking with me. Humph. Your imagination is running wild. Who would ever want to touch you? Not even your husband is interested. Wow. I wonder if there are nobles out there who actually act like this. She didn't smile or anything, so for a moment, I caught myself thinking I had been imagining the touch. A few seconds later, though, something stroked my inner thigh again. Since I assumed it was just her, I squirmed a little and stayed silent. The strokes only lasted a minute or two and they never got higher than my thigh, but they made me uncomfortably aroused anyway. I was really hoping she'd nudge the vibe again, but she didn't touch it. I assumed she just wanted to tease me. As she continued lightly molesting me, I went back to pony watching. A few trains had come and gone at that point, so the crowd was pretty thinned out. The next train was the one to Griffis, and there apparently weren't too many ponies interested in heading that way while they were all in heat. Most of the travelers were well-dressed mares who were probably looking for some dirty lovin'. There was a single off-duty male guard who looked very nervous. It looked like a few griffins were returning home and they were all doing their best to ignore the ponies. There were two well-dressed male unicorns, one with an earth pony maid and the other by himself. Why would you even have an earth pony as a maid if you're a unicorn? You can do everything she could do 5 times faster. To rule over her, Aqua said. Most stallions prefer being in charge, especially in charge of lovely mares. You're the exception, not the rule. Not that, you're male anymore. The guy without a maid was holding a newspaper up with magic, reading it. I was paying enough attention to realize his eyes weren't moving, though, so he was just pretending for some reason. The other guy was just minding his own business and it appeared that his maid was also pony watching. She smiled at me when she saw me looking and I smiled back, to be nice. Right as I did, I felt something stroke my thigh again and I squirmed a little more. She paid me no more mind and went right back to looking at others, so I did the same. When the train finally showed up, I was starting to worry about leaving a small puddle on the floor. I wasn't that aroused yet, but not for lack of trying. When the train doors opened, no one got off. After a few seconds of waiting, one of the porters called for boarding. Twilight immediately bumped the vibrator up to medium and started walking. I followed right behind her, of course. The stallion with the newspaper ended up walking uncomfortably close behind me. Being uncomfortably close was the norm for Pony World, so I ignored it and did my best to keep putting one hoof in front of the other while vibrating enough to make me whimper a little. There weren't too many of us boarding, so everyone got seated pretty quickly. There weren't any private cars, so Twilight and I ended up sitting next to each other. I actually got the aisle seat, though she said it was so she wouldn't have to smell any peasants walking past. Once we were seated, she turned the vibe off. Thankfully, it was a cloth seat, so all my juices seeped into it instead of smearing all over. The other ponies would still definitely smell it, which would be kinda awkward. Though to be fair, I noticed the stallion with the newspaper was sniffing the air with a small grin, so I had a feeling they already noticed. I was really hoping they couldn't tell where it was coming from, though. This ride better not take long, Twily stuffily said. I'm sure time will just fly, my lady, I sweetly replied. She sniffed at me, because she had being a bitch down to an art. It certainly would if you could be less boring, she replied. Once everyone was situated, the train's whistle finally blew. Right as that happened, something gently tugged on my clit, making me moan in pleasure before I could stop myself. The whistle was loud enough that no one heard me, thankfully. Before I could relax, I realized I just smacked Twilight in the face with one of my wings because they both shot up. Control yourself, Rosie, she hissed, forcing my wing away from her. What is wrong with you? The whistle startled me, my lady, I said. She snorted. Stupid timid Pegasus. Keep your wings to yourself. Of course, my lady. I'm sorry, my lady, maybe if you didn't fucking molest me, this wouldn't be a problem. She muttered some, but finally shut up and started staring out the window. While she was doing that, something began stroking me again. This time, it was long, slow strokes up my thigh and to my lower lips. It felt uncomfortably good, so I started squirming in my seat. After a few of those strokes, she stopped and then just peeled my lips open with magic every so often, teasing me even more. After maybe 15 minutes of her just teasing me, she turned the vibrator on and I felt one of my hooves reach down to grab hers. The other was on the seat's hoof rest. It was everything I could do to keep my wings down. You're squirming around quite a lot, Rosie, she said. The bathroom's right there. I don't have to. She turned the vibe off, thankfully. I let her hoof go, but planted them both on the hoof rests. After a few seconds of continued molestation and me squirming, the ambient sounds of the train went away and Twilight quietly said, "What's wrong, Nav? Are you kidding? You've been teasing me for half an hour straight. I've had the vibrator off most of the time. But your magic is still going. Ooh, I'm so close. My magic? Twily, please." She rolled her eyes. "Give me just 1 second." She teleported out into the aisle and walked to the back of the cart, where the bathroom was. As soon as she stepped into it, the strokes got bolder and it felt like something actually entered me. I couldn't stop myself from whimpering, though I tried to make it quiet. I'm sure everyone in the cart smelled me, but I didn't want everyone to know for sure who it was. Though I suppose that's one of the best parts of being in disguise. Twilight walked back out a minute later. Once she was back in the main car, the magic went back to being relatively normal. She came back up to our row and teleported into her seat again. Once she was sitting next to me, she took some paper and a pen out and wrote something, then folded it up. When that was done, the ambient noise died down again. "So, you tired of getting teased?" she asked. "Yes." She hoofed me the paper and said, "Give this to the stallion 2 seats behind us on the other side, the one with the newspaper. Then go to the bathroom and wait. What? I'm sure he'll be happy to help such a cute little Pegasus. So you're gonna go suck him off while he gives you a magic job. Then you're gonna let him come in your mane. That's the only way you're getting off until later tonight. But Nav, are you gonna go suck this stallion off or not? I mean, I guess. Is the whole trip gonna be like this?" "Maybe," she replied with a smirk. "Remember to smile and wink when you pass the note." The sound barrier around us disappeared. This wasn't the way I was expecting my day to go, but I had a feeling all kinds of weirdness would happen on the trip. It didn't take me long to build up the courage to stand up. After all, being in a new body meant I didn't really have to worry about my image. Once I was finally ready, I slowly eased out of the chair and stood. There was a massive blush on my face and it felt like everyone on the cart was staring at me, but I powered through it. I almost missed my first step when Twilight turned the vibrator on, though. She bumped it straight to high, so my tail actually hitched a little and I whimpered before I could control myself. No one said anything, though now several of them actually were staring at me. I got over it and continued to the stallion. He didn't look up at me from his paper until I stopped next to him. When I did and he looked over, I grinned and winked while holding up the note. He took it with a smile and opened it as I continued to the bathroom. There was still no one in it, so I stepped in and sighed in relief as the vibrator and his magic both stopped. "This is so wrong," I thought as I closed the door behind me. "Yes, it is," Aqua said. "It's honestly sad how little self-respect you have. On second thought, maybe I'll enjoy this after all." I finally sat back down in my seat with a disgusting feeling squelch. Man, maybe I really am a slut. About time, Twilight replied. Ugh, you are just the worst maid ever. I apologize, my lady, I softly replied. She sniffed. And now you stink. Well, more than usual. And what's that white goop in your hair? That last question was loud enough that several rows could hear her, of course. A number of conversations stopped as I tried to come up with a response. Hair gel, I finally said. I knew you had to be doing something to it. I didn't see a need to reply to that, so I shut up. Finally, another bubble appeared around us and she said, so you actually let him come in your mane? Yeah. And he actually let me come, too. I know. I smelled it as soon as you opened the door. Every stallion in this car is watching you with lustful gazes, you little slut. Good. I'm still hungry. She grinned and said, good girl. I'm sure you'll get a snack of some kind once we get there. Until then, settle down. I don't want the porters looking at us. Of course, mistress. She gave my hoof a quick squeeze before letting the field drop. The rest of the ride to Griffis was fairly standard, though Twilight made sure to keep my mare parts at a low simmer. Something in me had awoken and I was finally feeling the pheromones. Who needs to be clear-headed, anyway? That's what vacations are for, right? As often as you talk about hating being female and not being interested in stallions, you sure do enjoy looking attractive to them and sleeping with them, Aqua said. I'm not interested in a relationship with a stallion, but I'd let one fuck me. Is that because you're afraid of intimacy or because you're afraid if you ever become male again, you'll have to admit to being bi? I'm not going to answer that. That's okay, I already know the answer. I just like making you confront it. I hate you. For now, she replied with a giggle. The train finally started slowing down. Thankfully, I was mostly dried off at that point. I'm sure the smell still lingered, but it was no longer completely obvious where it was coming from. We didn't have any issues getting off the train, though it felt like a few of the stallions were jockeying for position behind me. I don't know if they wanted a view or if they wanted to smell me. It didn't really matter, either way, since I just ignored them. I could get all the pony cock I wanted, but Griffin dicks were in short supply. Once we were off the train and had obtained our luggage, we found ourselves staring at the entrance of a whole new city. So how well do you know your way around? Twilight asked me. I know a few locations of interest, my lady. I'm afraid my last few times here weren't spent exploring, though. We'll see about getting a map later. For now, let's get to our inn. Having to put up with you all day has been exhausting. I'm sorry, my lady. Yeah, sorry that you're such a bitch. I'm sure she learned it from watching you, Aqua said. I'm gonna ask her when we get to the inn. She snorted at me. Thankfully, Twilight knew my limits and didn't try to force me to carry the luggage. I could have managed one or two of the bags, but there's no way I could have gotten everything. Her magic made ferrying it very easy. It trailed along behind us as we started walking through the city. There was a well-trod path through the icy streets, meaning our footing wasn't terrible. That was almost too bad, because the gazes we were getting from griffins made me want to show off every piece of me that I could. Falling on my face meant I could expose myself as an accident. These griffins look hungry, I quietly said to Twilight. Good, she replied. I'm looking forward to them sating that hunger. My lady. This vacation is gonna be fun, Rosie. You know, you could stand to let your mane down a little, too. Your hubby wouldn't have to know. Well, let me put it this way. If my husband finds out about what happens here, your husband will find out about your rendezvous on the train. I don't know what you're talking about, my lady. Oh, please. I know the look of a used-up whore when I see one. And that smell. She giggled. I do hope you're on your best behavior, Rosie. I'd hate to have to tell your hubby you betrayed him. I bit my lip and looked away. Of course I'll be on my best behavior, my lady. And you'll follow every order I give. Yes. Good. She left it at that and we continued in silence. A part of me was wondering if blackmail was a common part of ruling over servants. I kinda doubted it, but I was willing to keep an open mind. After all, threats seemed to be working very well for my new owner. She patted me on the head again for that. It felt disgusting. Before we could get to the hotel, 3 male griffins landed in front of us. The largest was almost twice our size. He grinned at Twilight. Well, 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 what brings 2 cute little mares like you to Griffis? We're here for the festival, Twilight replied with a smirk. Maybe if you're lucky, we'll find some time to celebrate with you 3. His 2 friends started circling around behind us, also wearing smirks. The large one said, I think we could show you a good time, pony. The one circling behind me suddenly stepped forward and wrapped one of his arms around my neck. The talon on that arm went down my dress. The other arm reached up to my mouth as I tried to cry out. His talons went into my mouth, for some reason. This one smells like she's already had some fun, he said, taking a large whiff. It's just about making me feel the heat early. What do you think about that, Rosie? Twilight asked. A sexy hunk of a griffin like that going into rut just for you, rutting you like an animal. Say, isn't your heat cycle starting, too? The only way I could really respond to that was by eagerly sucking on his fingers. Twilight giggled at my response. What would your husband think, you dirty little slut? He'd never have to know, the one holding me said. All kinds of rich, snooty canterlet mares come here to get what their wimpy pony husbands can't provide. And we're happy to give it to them all, the largest one said, stepping forward to place a talon on Twilight's cheek. What do you have to say to that, She leaned into his hand and sighed in delight. Like a dream come true. When can we start? He grinned and stepped back. You little ponies are insatiable. But unfortunately for you, today is a day of chastity for us. We'll all want to be at our best tomorrow, after all. He nodded at me and the guy finally let me go and backed away. If you're lucky, we'll see you tomorrow. I love reminding you little sluts that you belong under us. I'll be looking for you, Twily said. He laughed before taking off. The one closer to her slapped her ass before joining him. The one closer to me tousled my mane before leaving. Griffins sure are friendly, hey. A little too hoofsy, though. You know you liked it, don't even pretend. Now pick up the pace, missy. I'm tired of being in this slush. Yes, my lady. We once more continued on the path. The inn wasn't too much farther, so we got there quickly. Conveniently, it was right around when night was falling, so we wouldn't really be going out anymore. The place she picked was fairly nice. There were 3 stories. When we got in, I discovered that the bottom floor was a common area where they served food and drinks. At the moment, it was mostly full of griffins, with a few ponies, 2 minotaurs, and a single dog. As Twilight was talking to the innkeeper, I learned that the other 2 floors were dedicated to rooms and we were staying on the top one. When we were finally situated in our room, I sighed in relief and fell onto the only bed. Man, where did you learn to be such a bitch? Mostly Aqua, she said. Score 1 for me. Aqua huffed. Also partially Celestia and a few other Canterlet nobles I know. Are any of them actually as mean as you are to servants? Only one of them. To be fair, the maid and her husband both enjoy it. Apparently he has a thing for, what was it? Cuckolding. Right, that. I've gotten a few fan letters from her, giving me tips and suggestions. Well, to each his and or her own. Now, you wanna take a bath together? She chuckled and snuck up behind me to sniff at my tail. No. You aren't going to take a shower until after we go eat in the common area. Every patron here is gonna know exactly what kind of mare you are when we're done. I'm sure they'll enjoy passing you around like a toy. I'll probably enjoy it, too. Hey, think any of them would be interested in morning blowjobs? After a long day of chastity. I think that's a delightful idea, Miss Rose Charm. I think I'll offer. She giggled again and said, one of her suggestions was making her maid suck stallions off and then storing it in a dog bowl for her husband. How does that sound? Disgusting. It would be cold and slimy. And Griffin spunk probably tastes bad, since they have a mostly meat diet. She shrugged. It's a thought. Oh, did I give you panties before we left? No. Shoot. I suppose that'll work. She walked over to one of the bags and rummaged around in it before pulling out a thong. No, not enough fabric. It got shoved back in and she pulled out a standard pair of white cotton panties. Perfect. They slid up her legs with a snap and she walked over to the bed. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to sit on your face while wearing these. K. I flipped over onto my back for her and she gently plopped down on my face. Once she was finished, she sighed in relief and slid off me. There, now I'll smell the same. What do you think, should I put on a dress or go just like this? With just the wet panties and a little bit of drool and maricum seeping down your leg? Yeah, which do you think? Just the panties, definitely. She smirked. I had a feeling you would say that. Wanna help me pick out a dress? I have a proposition. One of her eyebrows lifted. Oh. I'll let 2 dogs fuck me at the same time if you go down there wearing just those panties. 3. Only if you'll be prepared to teleport me out in case something goes wrong. She bit her lower lip and looked away for a moment. Finally she sighed and nodded. Deal, on one condition. If we don't find any diamond dogs while we're here, you still have to do it. In your normal body. And they can't be changelings. All right. I'm sure there are at least 3 dogs here. But most wouldn't agree to share a mare, though. I think this is gonna be fun, Navi. Now, are you ready to go downstairs? Yep. Be careful around Mead, though. I know. I got the whole spiel from Gilda earlier. Gilda? Yeah, she was worried that we might get hurt, so she warned me about what to expect and what to look out for. Hey. That's actually, kind of her. And definitely unexpected. Well, it was on the condition that I give you to her for a few hours when she gets to Griffis. Back up. No backing up where you're going, Navi, she said with a giggle. Now let's go get dinner, shall we? We still have a long night ahead of us. Suddenly, I wasn't so sure about things. If Gilda got her talons on me, there's no telling what kind of sadistic things she would do. I'm sure it wouldn't be anything too bad, but who knows what's too bad to a griffin. At the moment, though, my tummy was kinda rumbling. I followed my lady down the stairs, smirking to myself at her open display. I can't believe Twilight is actually doing this. I don't know if it's hot or just hilarious. You're a bad influence on her, Aqua sighed. Says the one who mostly taught her how to be a bitch. She may have learned from me, but she's only putting on the show for you. You say that like she isn't also enjoying it. Does it matter how she's acting as long as she's having fun? Yes. See, this is why you have no friends. Well, except for those you forcibly brainwash. She had nothing to say to that. No one really paid us much mind when we got downstairs. It wasn't until Twilight and I walked right past their tables that they started looking up at us. The main thing they were staring at was Twilight's very obviously wet and freshly used Margina that they could see clearly through the wet panties. Frankly, it was extremely clear what she had just been through. We sat by the fire. I assume it was because she wanted the heat to carry our smell through the room, though it also felt good after all the cold. Shortly after we sat, a fairly plump Griffin waitress came up and took our orders. Apparently the only options were 2 stews, one vegetarian and one with meat. We both got the stew for ponies and a flagon of mead, because we figured we'd test our tolerances. Since everything was already prepared, they served it up quickly. While we were eating, our smell finally began permeating the room and most of the males started staring at us. That's when I realized that most of their clientele was male. Their gazes were alternating between me and Twilight, though more of them were reserved for her since she was wearing so little. I honestly don't know how she kept a blush off her face, but it was kinda impressive. No one bothered us while we were down there, which honestly kinda shocked me. We were blatantly being ogled, but no one said a thing. On the way back up and out, Twilight kept her tail hitched the whole way and used magic to lift mine up as well, which left me completely exposed and also made me feel kinda sticky. Once we were safely locked away, she let my tail drop and sighed. I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe you didn't blush. Way to go, slut. Yeah, she lifted me with magic and began disrobing me. Are you ready to test the salve? I mean, I kinda don't want to. But yeah, I guess. If you don't like it, I won't ask again. I just promised Kot that we'd try it. I rolled my eyes. She said it meant a lot to Spider. I snorted. Too bad, you're doing it anyway. Her magic set me down on the bed and the salve appeared next to her with a quiet pop. She uncorked it and pulled about half of it out with magic. Are you sure that's not too much? I asked. This was the recommended dose. They might try to make it more potent later. Until then, it magicked itself up my cooch. The stuff felt cold and slimy at first. It's supposed to take about 5 minutes to kick in fully. I'm gonna go wash up for just a moment. I'll be right back. Alrighty. I guess I'll just wait here. She grinned and walked into the bathroom. About 2 minutes after she applied it, I started feeling a tingling in my nethers. A minute later, the warmth from my heat started picking up. At the 5-minute mark, it was close to an inferno and every little breeze made me shiver. Twitching my legs actually made me moan. This stuff is way too powerful, oh my god. Twilight didn't make me wait too much past 5 minutes. She sauntered back into the room with a large strap-on bouncing around under her. The next morning was not a fun one for a lot of reasons. The first is that the entire city erupted with noise at 8 in the fucking morning, as every single bell began ringing at the same time for no apparent reason. We found out later that the bells ringing ended the day of chastity and began the festivities. At the time, all they did was wake both of us up and leave us feeling dazed, confused, and sticky. The second was because I was very forcibly reminded of the fact that I hadn't had to use the bathroom for so long that I honestly forgot how it felt. Being part tree meant all of that was kinda just being taken care of. I wasn't expecting to ever feel the need to pee again. Which brings me to the third reason it was a terrible morning. My vagina is numb, I said when I got out of the bathroom. Spider, I swear to God, if you ruined my vagina, I am throwing you off that cliff for good this time. What do you mean, numb? Twilight asked. As in, I can't feel it. At all. She grabbed me with magic and pulled me closer. I really didn't like that she was gazing directly into my cooter, but it was kinda a moot point. And you can't feel this? Are you doing something? I'm rubbing your clit, Nav. Then yeah, I can't feel it. I still feel super horny, though. Oh, okay. Right, that's right. Nightshade mentioned one possible side effect is temporary numbness. Temporary. Yes, temporary. And you didn't think that warranted mentioning. She flew me over to the bed and gently set me down. I was worried you might say no. Twilight. Her ears twitched and she looked away. Are you being for serial right now? I don't. What does that mean? Is the room still soundproofed? Her head tilted slightly and she nodded. Good. I grabbed the closest thing I could find and pelted it at her. Luckily for her, it was a pillow. It bounced off her cute little confused face. You tested a fucking poison on my vagina. What the hell is wrong with you, you dirty skank? Alright, that's fair, but I threw the next closest thing I had at her, which happened to be another pillow. It also bounced off her face. You didn't even tell me all the side effects. Well, yes, but you didn't really ask. And yo, I was out of soft things to throw and found a shoe, which she deflected with magic. Are you out of your goddamn mind? This shit could be fucking permanent, for all we know. Actually, we do know, she said. Nightshade tested it herself, first. Oh, well that makes it better. Really? I found another pillow that also bounced off her face quite nicely. No. Oh, she sighed, hanging her head. We have no fucking clue what else this bullshit could do. Right now I'm only temporarily numb, but 2 months down the line, I might lose feeling entirely. There's no telling with poisons and nerves. Well, there is some telling, she said, rubbing at her neck. Nightshade's pretty good with poisons. Shut it. She sighed again. Keep your weird poisons away from my vagina. I'm done with that shit. Been there, done that, got the postcard, moving on. Capic. I don't know what that means, either. It means let's go get fucking breakfast. Well, I'm gonna be getting breakfast. You're going to be sucking the cock of whoever I tell you to. K. Good, then shall we? I mean, I kinda wanted to take a shower first, maybe. That's when I realized that we were both complete messes. Well, she was, anyway. I'm always a mess. Our showers are gonna overlap, I said. I'm still getting the hang of these stupid hooves. Alright. Look, Nav. I'm sorry for the poison. It's just. We all want Spider to find something he can do. I know how you are about him, so I knew you would be wary of it, but there really aren't any bad side effects. The numbness is the worst of it, and it only lasts a few hours. I'm over it. Shower time. I hopped off the bed and began walking to the bathroom. Coming. She followed, of course. Unfortunately, she couldn't leave well enough alone. As I'm sure you've noticed, your moods will be shifting quite a lot more than usual. I hadn't noticed, actually. I feel pretty level-headed right now, honestly. Ahoy. Well, that's perfectly normal for a mare in heat, so if you do notice anything, try to remember what's really causing it. What, you mean my biological clock? Yes. You're not actually angry at me, you're angry because you don't have a foal in your tummy. No, I'm kinda angry at you. She sighed and hung her head. Shoot, I was hoping that would work. Seeing your face covered in griffin spunk will make me forgive you, though. So let's hurry up with the shower and get downstairs, shall we? She sighed and we finally got down to bathing. Honestly, it would serve you right if it was permanent, Aqua said while we were in the shower. Maybe then you could spend less time focusing on filling it and more time on doing good in the world. Says the one who turned me into a mind slave. When's the last time you volunteered at a soup kitchen, hey? A few of us have tried to make ourselves useful around Canterlot. Our efforts have been rebuffed. Apparently there's not that much of a need for our services in the world of magic and plenty. Must be nice to have the ability to turn you down. Believe me, if I had any other option, I would have taken it. Before, I looked at you and just felt sad. But at this point, I'm honestly starting to enjoy your suffering. Just what I want to hear from the person who can cause me untold suffering at the drop of a hat. Oh, Don't get me wrong, I would much prefer seeing you happy, but you're such a bitch that seeing you miserable makes me feel good about myself. I guess it's just the little things. You body-snatching whore. I suppose this is the part where you expect me to match your juvenile insults. You don't have to if you don't want to. Honestly, hating you is a nice change of pace from hating myself, so at least there's that. Like I said, it's the little things. Don't worry, Nav. With me by your side, you'll finally learn to love yourself again. And all it cost me was my bodily autonomy. You should be grateful, Nav. I'm lowering myself to put up with you. I'm really gonna enjoy the part where you get your comeuppance. It's cute that you still think I'm the bad guy. I decided I was done with her bullshit for the moment, so I started ignoring her. She didn't appreciate that, but I'm the narrator and I decide when we're done, not her. She can't take that from me, at least. She just informed me that yes, she could take it away, but she chooses not to because she's nice. She also wanted to remind me that she was still the good one, not the obviously evil one. I hate her. Once Twilight and I were physically clean, she used magic to dry me off and tossed another maid outfit in front of me. Pick an outfit for me and let's get this show on the road, she said with a grin. I'm picking your outfit? I asked. Yep. The caveat there is that it has to be an outfit, not just panties. Oh. Then just whatever, I guess. Just whatever, you guess. Yeah. She plopped her ass down on the floor. Do you think I'm attractive, Nav? God damn it, here we go. Yes. What about me do you find attractive? You looking for anything in particular or do you just want me to go down the list? She blinked and blushed. We'll talk about that list later. For now, just the most prominent physical characteristic. I think I see where this is going. I really like your shade of purple. She sighed. Ugh. Nailed it. Try again. You're wonderfully spankable ass. And this is the part where you tell me to pick an outfit for you that shows that aspect off, right? Right. I'm not here to show off for them, Nav. I'm here to show off for you. I want to look cute for you. That's fucking adorable. Thanks, I practiced that one in the mirror. So pick an outfit that shows off my wonderfully spankable ass, Nav. I let the silence linger in the air for a few seconds before nodding. I'm gonna need a recording of you saying wonderfully spankable ass. I'll play it whenever Watcher starts getting uppity. Deal. Now stop stalling. I sighed and let her drag me over to her showroom of horrors. In the end, I decided on something as close to a Catholic schoolgirl as I could get. The only thing that stopped it from being full-on fetishistic was the fact that apparently schoolgirl outfits aren't a thing in Equestria. I think I like this look, she said once we were both dressed. I mean, I don't think I would ever wear this in public unless I was disguised, but I think I like this look. Why wouldn't you wear that in your own skin? I asked. What, are you kidding? No. What's stopping you? I mean, she looked herself over again before turning her nervous gaze back onto me. Just look at me. Say it with me, Twilight, I have a wonderfully spankable ass. She rolled her eyes. You'll get your recording. Alls I'm sayin' is that you're a strong, independent purple mare who don't need no stallion. Dress however you want. I guarantee mouths will drop. Yeah, but, you don't ever dress like a slut. That one stopped me. Yeah I do. What? When? Only all the times I wear super short skirts and no panties and then accidentally, I made sure to add finger quotes, though using my hooves for it was kinda awkward, flash my vag to all the cute little bat ponies. Which, when we're on the ship, is just about always. Now that we're in Canterlot, it isn't as common, but it's definitely happened. I swear to God, it looked like there was something that said calculating in her eyes. Finally, She blinked. Is that slutty for a human? Twilight, we always wear clothes. Showing off even the slightest bit of my vag is extremely slutty. Oh. A few more seconds passed and she blushed. Oh. That explains a lot. Hey. Wow. So that's why Applejack was being sarcastic. Do I even want to know? No, probably not. Wanna go on a date in Canterlot where we're both dressed like sluts? We'll talk. But for now, let's go get breakfast. We'll settle the matter of your cutie mark after that. Ugh, finally. Shush, Rosie, Miss Ivory said. Now open the door for your lady. I curtsied and rushed to obey. She walked past me and slapped me with her tail on the way out. Do it faster next time. Ugh, you're so worthless. I apologize, my lady, I said, pulling the door shut behind me. I gotta say, seeing her from behind in that outfit made me understand why she wanted me to pick it out myself. We were both smiling when we got down to the common room for breakfast. All things told, it was an alright start to a pretty alright vacation.